Welcome everybody to Feel Good Friday. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and we have an amazing Feel Good show for you as always. We got our girl, art queen of Converge right here in the building, T-Dub. We're going to be diving into all things community, lots of shows out, it seems like. So we got a lot to talk about with T-Dub, and of course, episode 5 of Art of the Matter. So looking forward to diving in with her. Also, we have an expert in the building, Mr. Jim Buchanan. He's been behind the scenes of a lot of the cannabis equity work that's been happening here at the state level. And I get to end the show with my sis, Naima Clark of Nurturing Roots. Amazing farm for those of you who don't know. So we'll be able to dive in with her later on in the show. But right now, let's get it started. You know, we want to definitely thank you so much for watching all of our shows here on Converge out of the Black Media Matter studios. It's just a beautiful thing to have your support. Right now, of course, is a great time for you to tag and share the stream with people that you feel could benefit from some feel good vibes. I mean, Fridays is always feeling good, and I'm excited to dive in with our guests later on today to make sure y'all feel those feel good vibes. Also, too, we've been keeping this message alive. I mean, you guys know it. Anywhere that you are watching right now, you guys can also be listening. If you're unable to watch, you guys can be listening to all of our shows on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, you name it. Just search Converge Media Network and you'll find all of our shows there. And of course, vaccine information around COVID-19 is still a thing. We're going to make sure you guys have that resource. Alman is putting the link in the comments right now for hereforuswa.org. They've done some culturally responsive communications specifically for the Black community. And for those of you that are still hesitant, I mean, we're seeing these rules change right before our very eyes. I think a lot of people right now are kind of a little bit on eggshells, still wanting to wear their masks. I know I'm one of them, because ultimately we don't know what not wearing masks could bring for us. We saw that happen before, and we saw spikes in cases. So there's a lot of questions out there, and rightfully so. So please, you guys don't go to hereforuswa.org. Department of Health has that site there for you guys to get all information on all things COVID. Also, we keep on mentioning this because we want to make sure our artists out there know, and I'll probably talk about this with T-Dub as well, but For Culture, once again, doing some really specific grants around arts preservation and heritage. If you guys know of anybody or are doing projects yourself that fit that mold, please check out the site over there at For Culture. Just always love their intentionality with what they're doing for the artist community. It's just always a beautiful thing. And thank you, For Culture, for making sure Converge is always in the know with what you guys have going on, so we can keep our audience engaged and informed. We also have, these kind of days coming up. We got Alvin Ailey is going to be in the building the 26th and the 27th of this month. You guys check out this show. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm hearing from other people who have seen this show nationally in other cities, and they are talking about how phenomenal it is. Shout out to Alvin Ailey, too, for being one of our partners on Black Love when we met. So we have a curated date night for all of our couples who are sharing their love stories. But I tell you, not only should the couples be there, but y'all should be there. Go check out this amazing show at Alvin Ailey. And we got a week of Beauty and the Beast. Is the 20th through the 27th. I'm so excited because I get to take my goddaughter, who's also a dancer with Northwest Tap Connection. Shout out to you, Brooklyn. Me and you are going to have our own date day. I'm looking forward to it. This show right here is really geared towards younger audiences with a narrator and everything on lock. So shout out to Pacific Northwest Ballet for saying, you know what, we're going to do it a little different this time and ensure that our younger dancers and our younger audience members can really follow this story. So I'm looking forward to taking her to that. Shout out to everybody who's been behind the scenes working on that. I think I got my updates out of the way. I'm so excited because, again, we have some amazing guests today. After this short break, we got T-Dub coming up next. We're going to be talking about all things art and, of course, Art of the Matter, episode 5. Stay tuned, you guys. You're watching Feel Good Friday. Hey there, it's Trae Holiday. And of course, Besa and I had to take a trip back to Market Street Shoes to grab some items. They always know what to show us. And let me tell you, we both spent quality time to be sure we collected some amazing additions to our wardrobes. They have some of the most unique bags, shoes, and accessories. I mean, the whole shebang. It's always a good time when I get to shop with my girl Besa. Make sure you go check out Market Street Shoes, y'all, and you too can walk out with some dope gear.
When the pandemic hit, it did affect me. As a barber, I had my own personal reasons why I didn't get vaccinated. At the time, I didn't check the actual source. I thought the vaccine was developed too fast, but I was talking to a doctor and he was telling me more about the vaccine and what it can do to protect us and our family. I wanted to get back to that once was, right? I do feel safe knowing that I am vaccinated. I just hope what I'm saying is reaching into people's heads to know that this is the best decision for all of us.
Hi, this is Robert Battle, Artistic Director of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and we're thrilled to be performing live on stage again. Come see the extraordinary Ailey dancers during my 10th anniversary season and enjoy some wonderful new work, plus returning audience favorites, including Revelation.
You guys saw it right there. Black Love When We Met. It's just been a phenomenal show this week. And it's the last episode today. So you guys, that is Aaron and Quinn right there. We'll be diving into their love story later on tonight at 8 p.m. I'll definitely remind you guys of that as well. You know, but I get to talk to my girl T-Dub. And T-Dub, I got to say, Black Love When We Met is getting a lot of love.
Man, I have to start off by saying happy Feel Good Friday, of course. But congratulations, Trae Holiday, on Black Love. Like, this show is clearly like taking over the airwaves. You got proposals, you got baby announcements. Like, it's just, man, the love is in the air around here and I'm digging it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've been able to keep up. It's been a phenomenal thing. And I just got to send a special shout out to our director, Salman. Salman comes here. He's with us on the morning update show in the morning, and then he's there with me at night. And right. I just got to say, Salman, I so appreciate you. It's been amazing.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I didn't know that it would take off like this, T-Dub, but that's one of the things, you know, right here at Converge, we have the opportunity to explore our ideas.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's something that you've been able to do. Particularly, I'm loving these clips you're always bringing us on Feel Good Friday. So it looks like you were out in Portland. Tell us all about it.
I was. So obviously, I was here last Friday. We're celebrating Kayla, the Gutter Queen's birthday. We actually took an extended trip out to Portland to see our friends and family out there. We hadn't seen them since the pandemic. So it's been like 2.5 years since we saw those guys. We got to go out, hang out with them, see our family, just get some chill time. And while we were there, we actually got to visit an exhibit at the Portland Museum around Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. So they are two world-renowned artists, Mexican artists, and this exhibit actually explored Mexican modernism in art. And so it was them two, it was a bunch of other artists. There was a mural being installed while we were there. It was a super, super beautiful exhibit. If you're in the Portland area, definitely go see it. But we got a little clip for you, so check it out.
Wow. Once again, T Dub's clips coming through for us on Feel Good Friday. I mean, T Dub, honestly, you were just telling me a little bit more about these guys, not just as individual artists, but also as a couple.
Yeah, they were definitely a power couple in a sense of representing Mexican culture in their community. They, had their own individual claim to fame with the art that they created. They came together to drive their message more forward of like, we are Mexican people, we are artists, and we also have our own experiences when it comes to the highs and lows of being people in society. So they made sure that they talked and spoke to through their art the trials and tribulations of the Mexican people, and they really championed those efforts. And they were activists, they were protesters, they were the people who spoke for the people. And I just really connected with that, obviously, because the work that I've been doing lately does a lot of that. And again, being able to have love and show love through art is always something that's super, super important for me. And again, they were actually painting a mural of Frida Kahlo in the museum while we were there, which was so cool to see, because obviously murals are like the biggest way to send a message, honestly, in my opinion. So to see that actually taking place was really, really cool. And actually there was a couple books in their gift shop about the muralism movement and how people use murals in Mexico to exemplify those messages of empowering the people. So I'm always for that type of stuff.
Well, one thing that I love so much about murals is that oftentimes they are public works of art.
Right.
So they're just really out there in the public sides of buildings. They're beautifying the neighborhoods where they are. And ultimately, it's like messages. I remember, as a young person walking, I used to walk right down 25th, just walking all the way to Garfield High when I lived in the Central District, and coming across certain things were Black empowerment. You know what I mean? We talked about the MLK mural right there on Martin Luther King and Cherry on the side of, now Fats Chicken and Waffles. But when we were growing up, it was Catfish Corner.
Right.
And it was like, as many times as I gone there, it was always something for me to sit there and embrace. You know what I mean? And sometimes these things are happening just like marketing happens, in our subconscious.
Sure.
It's the same when it comes to murals, right? So it's like, I love being able to take my sons to places that really exemplify real powerful messaging in art, because we get it through ads all the time, billboards, you name it, commercials. They are utilizing these same kind of techniques to kind of attack our subconscious for us to become consumers. But I feel like art really has the ability to do that in a way that wakes up our consciousness, right? And so, that's the beautiful thing. And clearly there's a lot of art happening right now. We got some art news. Tell us all about it, because I see a bunch of points we got to hit today.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I try to be everywhere when it comes to the art, because I am the art queen of Converge. So I like to be, in the know physically with those types of things going on, but I can't be everywhere. So I wanted to take this opportunity to give a shout out to some people that are really doing dope things on the art scene. So I think Salman has an overlay. So first I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Morales of the Link Project. Now the Link Project is a community center of art and culture here in the city. She is really doing amazing things when it comes to art, when it comes to Black business, when it comes to vendors, when it comes to activation. She's doing really, really dope things. Seattle Refined did an article on her recently, so I just wanted to give her a huge shout out. And also because my bro Barry Johnson is doing a show right right now called Liquid Alchemy, which is on view through the rest of the month. Definitely go check out his show at the Link Project. So, bringing those two things together. My other brother, Mr. Moses' son, is now one of the 2022 artists in residencies for Amazon. So that was just announced. So congrats to him. Perry Roden, her show release is still on view at BMC through April. Joey Nix, Hold On, is still on view through the rest of the month. So there's a bunch of stuff going on in the city. If you like art, if you like to be outside, there's plenty of outlets for you. So
plenty of outlets. And you know what? I absolutely adore it all. I'm going to say this too, because seeing Stephanie, do her thing, she had all these amazing art pieces, connecting with artists in the Chop era. She had a large vision for, man, if only there was a space where we could really explore our artistry, and just the fact that the Link Project opens its doors to not just artists, but also producers, vendors, the ideas that it is such an eclectic space. I mean, we did a piece on it for the city, and I honestly was just like, man, I know that you've been talking about this for such a long time. You know, she had so many amazing ideas, and for this to be actualized right there in the Central District, of course, too, is such a huge like compliment to who she is and how she shows up in community. So I agree with you in that regard. And you know, the fact that, hey, we got Barry there, you know, I mean, oh my gosh, we saw some of his work. We did a piece on him. Omari got to go and check out his work in Capitol Hill. I mean, this is something for me where it's like, I love how it comes full circle. Because on the media side, you know, we want to just showcase what's going on so people know about it. But then when you get to connect with these artists in that more personalized and intimate way, like I really have with Stephanie, it's one of those things where seeing it play out makes me go, man, you know what? I know that you worked so hard to bring this together. Seriously. I mean, it's just like with you, T-Dub, right? Like, I promise you, there's so many things that you have done throughout the city that really allow your artistry, but your expertise of artistry to showcase as well. And so I love it because, you know, I appreciate you for having your finger on the pulse of all things art right here in the city.
I appreciate it.
You know, you're doing us proud. I tell you. And obviously Art of the Matter is another way that you're doing that. And, you know, we've been talking about your show every Friday because it is such a great piece of art. Tell us about episode 5.
Yeah, so episode 5, we're featuring my other bro. I got a lot of brothers in art, man. Mr. Joey Nix. The Art of Industry is the subtitle for this episode. And again, we get to sit down with him at his latest show, Hold On. He, you know, comes from an industrial background. His father owned a tugboat, so that he kind of grew up in that sort of like on the docks by the bay kind of vibe. So he's very much connected to, you know, the sort of industrial revolution that shaped this country. And he hopes to help people understand that, you know, the reason why we have technology is because we first had industry. So let's not forget, you know, the machines and the gears and the grind that got us to where we are now. And so he talks about that through his art and his show Hold On, and we get to talk about it on Art of the Matter episode 5, which premieres this Monday 6 p.m. live right here on Converge Media. Be sure to set your reminders for that. We'll be going live again for the show. I'll be here. I might have a guest. We never know. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's going to be a great show. And again, you can tune in live. You can ask us questions during the show, leave comments, all that kind of stuff. You can engage with us. So be sure to tune in.
Absolutely. Be sure to tune in. The great thing about it is that the comments are amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so funny because I feel like I'm getting more of that with Black Love When We Met. Right. So like it's one of those things where I don't always get to indulge in them, but it's so great to see people talking to each other on there. People like witnessing the couples, they know them. So they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember when that happened. Like all of these kind of things are going on, but it just creates a certain space. This is one thing I really appreciate about streaming. It's very different than TV, right? Because it's one-sided. And there's always that fourth wall when you're talking about TV, right? This fourth wall really is that the TV doesn't always directly address you as I get to do right now. We get to break down that fourth wall in streaming. And it's one of those things where it is a very interactive place. And so because I have you on, this has been a theme for me ever since Mike mentioned it on Wednesday. The metaverse.
Oh boy, no, I see it. I seen Pat back the other night. They was going in. Jules is like all for it, and Mike is like, I don't really know. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence too. Like, and obviously, like talking about like the NFTs and like the sort of like wave of NFTs that's happening right now. I'm kind of like, I don't really know if I'm completely sold just yet, but you know, it's here. Like she said, like Jules said, it's here to stay. We're gonna have to figure out how to work around it. Like
I'm telling you, I mean, you know, I was having these discussions throughout the week, and some folks are like, I think we're like, you know, maybe 5 years away. Did you say that, Salman? Yes,
7, 8,
Solomon was like, you know, we got some time. And I'm like, I don't know, man. You know, the thing is that I just go back to all of these other social media waves, and I was not for it then. I was like, I'm apprehensive. So I'm like, am I getting another chance to just be like, you know what? I'm diving in. I don't know. But when you talk about NFTs, that's what I was going to ask you, because it's essentially like art pieces.
Yeah, it's digital art.
Yeah, digital art that people are making to like sell in this metaverse. But they apparently people are making a bunch of money off this.
Yeah.
And I still have yet to fully understand it. I'm
Same.
like, yeah. So I'm trying to get with it. I'm glad me and you at least are somewhat on the same page.
Yeah. And, you know, as an artist, I'm obviously intrigued by what all of this is. And, you know, obviously the collective and I are having conversations about what that looks like for us as an entity. You know, and obviously wanting to be at the beginning of something. We get to be at the beginning of the metaverse. We get to be at the beginning of, you know, NFTs and things of that nature, and Bitcoin and all of these things. Like, they just started, you know what I mean? So we actually get that opportunity to really, like, you know, transition with it. Like, we get to grow with it. So I appreciate it in that sense, but at the same time, like, where are we going is the question. You know what I mean? Like, what does this actually mean? And I actually really love Tyler, the Creator, did an interview recently, and he was like, I get NFTs, but I'm really outside. Like, I'm really in the world. And I'm like, I agree with you, bro, because like, we are still human beings who exist in the world. You know what I mean? So I get like the digital sort of transitions and the, you know, the plus sides and all the safety and security and all that stuff, but also we are still of flesh and bone. So let's make sure that we're championing that as well.
You know what? I love that message, because for me, that really resonates. That's exactly what I've been saying, because I'm like, well, what does that mean for our social causes?
Right.
Does it wipe away racism in the metaverse?
Right.
Like, or already, because it is accessible to those who have money, are we just recreating a lot of these, you know, unfortunate social norms that we have in our society to this day? So anyways, I just had to ask
you. We can talk about it forever.
I just had to ask you before I let you go. Right now, just make sure people remember how they can see Art of the Matter on Monday.
Absolutely. Tune in to Converge Media for Art of the Matter episode 5. You can catch me on Instagram at Art of the Matter and also at TW Customs. Be sure to tap in with us on Twitter. Hit us up. We're doing some things.
Doing some things indeed. Always a pleasure, my sis TW. Thank you so
Trae.
much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You guys, always refreshing to start the show off with T-Dub, but we get to continue in this refreshing nature. And I'm telling you, Jim Buchanan is going to be dropping some knowledge on us today with regard to cannabis equity right here in our state. Stay tuned after this short break. You're watching Feel Good Friday.
Hi, this is Robert Battle, Artistic Director of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and we're thrilled to be performing live on stage again. Come see the extraordinary Ailey dancers during my 10th anniversary season and enjoy some wonderful new work, plus returning audience favorites, including Revelations.
Welcome back, everybody, to Feel Good Friday. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. And joining me right now in the Black Media Matters studios is our guy that's been out there, I'm telling you, doing great work, Jim Buchanan. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, it's absolutely my pleasure to be here today. And you're doing an incredible job. Just to watch you and the production of it is phenomenal.
Thank you so much. I mean, we've been connecting in community because clearly there was a real need for community voice to be at the center when we talk about cannabis equity. And I want you to give us a little bit of the background of what that's looked like from the side that maybe many people don't know. All of these voices that have really been championing this effort at the state level.
Yeah, well, I've been in industry from a retail perspective since 2015. It's always a lack of African Americans, in the business. We were a large part of the percentage that are being locked up, but we're locked out of the economic opportunity.
Mhm.
So as we look at the billions of dollars being generated, that the only way we're going to be able to move the line in the sand is by forcing it, and coming together. So a lot of our community organizations, so I'm president of the Washington State African American Cannabis Association, really was created for this movement. And along with my vice president, Philip Pettit, we start talking to Joaquin in Africatown and Elmer Dixon and King County Equity Now and Daryl Powell with NACP and a lot of other organizations, Representative Don Mason, and we just forged a community organization as we were moving forward to be able to say we need additional licensing. Then it also spun into looking at the $1 billion in tax revenue that was generated in the last 2 years. None of it was going back to the community. So, we started forging and sending the message that we want some of that money coming back to the community for a community reinvestment program.
Well, there you go. And I got to say, our brothers, Ronald and Ronell from the Factors TV, they touched on it this week as well from their own perspective. Let's hear what they had to say.
Speaking of marijuana, I know you wanted to talk about the states that are not only legalizing it, but they are going to give permits or licenses to the people who are affected by, the marijuana. Washington State. Is my camera right there? Washington State. You guys suck. There's so many families that have been taken, broken, people that have been time taken from them for laws that were criminalizing, that was restricting them having a driver's license to get a job or be able to get a job in the first place because you're a felon because of marijuana. My family been torn apart, friends' family been torn apart because of people going to jail, being, classified as junkies just because of marijuana. And now it's a $1 billion industry. And it's not fair that so many people lost generational wealth. Like people lost generational wealth by being arrested. That's like, a person who grows up and his dad owns a tire factory. Like, say my dad sold marijuana, he essentially he was a farmer and a cultivator. But because of laws that, were there before, prohibit him. They prohibited him from passing it down and me, growing generational wealth. And now you can walk in a store with it. I went to jail younger for like a blunt and a half when I was like 20-something in Renton, Washington. And now that same thing is like, not an issue. So. Not an issue at all. It's just crazy to me how Washington has let us down. You're so progressive, you're so liberal, and you won't give opportunity for ownership for black people to own dispensaries, for us to own farms. It's under 1% of what we're in this industry. And for it to be as many crimes, I went to Seattle Central in 2010. I had a project about marijuana arrests, and at that time it was like $700,000 a year, and they were wasting like probably $17-20 million on cases that didn't amount to nothing. Even the time that they were going to get back for going to prison and paying your just due to society fines, you still are not going to pay that back. You know what I'm saying? Because of they're wasting money in these cases. So they've been doing this for so long, and knowing the cases they had, that they won't give opportunity to people who are affected by these cases, whether it be family, whether it be a son or a daughter. By some means, somebody should be implemented to become an owner, part owner, or either a grower of a marijuana co-op or grower, whatever. 502, whatever they want to call it. Because we have missed out so much on that, and it's so huge in this state. For a long time, our first main revenue income was like red apples. Like farming is huge here. If you think marijuana is not farming, then you got the wrong thing. You're thinking the wrong way. Hemp is paper, it's everything, clothes, shoes. So you just got to think about what's taken away from us from the past till now, and opportunities you didn't give. That's coming with all these new dispensaries, all these new laws where there are going to be so many cafes and different things. It's like, give us a chance. You need to go back in time and rewrite some things to give us opportunities to apply for these licenses and these permits.
Absolutely. Jim, this is exactly what you've been working on the back end. Tell us about some of the work around 1827 and some of the other bills that you guys are trying to pass in this past legislative session. Looks like there's some wins that we could celebrate. Tell us all about that.
Well, the win, it's tough. It was a tough road and still is, but we had proposed in 1827, it was a bill to put $125 million annually for a community reinvestment program. We went and spoke to the governor in November and asked him to put $250 million annually into a supplemental budget for community reinvestment. And he came back on December 14th and told us that he would do 125 million. So that created 1827. As 1827 went through the House, it passed through the House, and it passed all the way to the Senate through rules and got to the Senate floor 2 days before the legislation was over, and it died. While it was seeing the kiss of death, we were able to get it moved into the operational budget and get monies moved into the operational budget along with the text that went along with it. There's a lot of craftiness, and when they want to do something, they can do it. There's lots of ways that they can do it. And if we don't have the understanding of legislation and how stuff moves around, then, you know, a lot of stuff will die and be dead. But we were able to get $200 million for this fiscal year for community reinvestment that starts in July. The 2023 fiscal year starts in July. We're able to get $100 million for 2024 and $100 million for 2025. So we're able to get $400 million for the next 3 years for our community reinvestment program. But it was with the efforts of the community coming together. The key is community coming together and understanding that it's not over till it's over. And even when it's over, it's not over. The new fight starts when the old one ends. They all connect together. So the mind, whatever the mind believes and conceives, it will achieve. You know, so just got to stay hard in the game at it.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, let me tell you, as a recipient of your emails, my friend, I saw the effort never, ever ceasing. It was constant pressure, constant community voice coming together as this collective power epicenter to really push this message forward for those who were kept on trying to say, oh, don't know if now's the right time. I mean, we talk about certain things in terms of election years and how it plays out when you're hitting the legislature, right? We know that some people are not bold enough to make these kind of things happen because they're worried about their election coming up. And ultimately, it is on the job of our elected officials to do the work of their constituents. But sometimes we see that there's a lack of that effort, right? And even as some of those champions on the legislature and those that are elected officials on that other side, they're pushing for certain things. But if they don't have community advocates like yourselves and all the groups that you mentioned, then a lot of things will die because we can't expect for them to carry these torches for us. So tell me a little bit about wielding that collective power, because I want people to understand that if they don't first identify that as a needed metric to make things happen, already it's going to be a really long road for them, and it probably won't end in the success they want to see. It takes all of these guys coming together. Tell us about the efforts that you and others really made to ensure that all of these people were aware of what was going on.
Well, first of all, they call that stakeholders investments. We're the stakeholders. So if we don't forge it, they're not going to do it. No one's going to come. No one came to, we had bills that we wanted for licensing and community reinvestment originally, and not one legislator would sponsor the bill to write a bill. So we started writing our own bill. You know, we could have died then before legislation, but we didn't. We said, look, you know, we're going to figure out how to write a bill, and we're going to get somebody to get it at the last day possible, whatever. And at the last moment, we got a legislator to sponsor it on December 27th, right before legislation was getting ready to open. You know, so they have to see an effort from the community that is just something phenomenal. For me personally, you know, I figure I do all I could do, and then God will do the rest. You know, even when you think it's over, you know, then all of a sudden something miraculous happens. That's always been my experience in my whole life, and that happened here also. So, but as we moved along, it was a small group, and then it went to a larger group, and it went to a larger group, and it went to, but that happened the year before on the task force meetings. You know, we started on to shape it. The legislators on the task force would not recommend what should be done. They weren't pushing forward. And then even after we got the task force to recommend, we, the community, what we felt was equity and quality, none of the legislators on the task force that voted for the recommendations would sponsor the bills. So at the end, even all through legislation, the licensing bill we had was for 338 retail licenses per year between 2022 and 2029. And it was 25 producer processor licenses between 2022 and 2029. And all new license types that might be developed, like smoke lounges and delivery licenses. And that's basically what our bill was, and some capitalization to go along with it. $22.5 million annually to go along with the capitalization of it. And that bill got support going all the way through, but then when the opposition started coming after it, the legislators that supported it start folding, and it ended up dying. So, our solution, though, what we learned through this is that we have to change legislators. And that's what we're doing now. As we forged what we feel equity is for economics with community investment is a win. We got $400 million. We didn't get any licenses. And we're pissed off about that. Like the emails you say, as you saw, they weren't nice emails. I mean, we're not trying to make friends. We're respectful, but at the end of the day, we're calling everything out for what it is. And we're calling it out now to all the legislators. And I hope some are listening now, because we'll be showing up at their campaigns. We'll be forging against ones that aren't with equity and equality. And we're going to keep doing that. And now our numbers, of stakeholders are mounted up to thousands of people now, and lots of organizations in the BIPOC community. So we're going to make a difference. We're supporting Pastor Anderson in the 30th district in Federal Way. He was one of the soldiers that was fighting with us on the front line for equity and equality. And there's 5 or 6 other spots, even if now that it's kind of late for people to get in, we're looking for good candidates that our coalition can support in the 30th district, the 37th district, the 11th district, where the districts in Tacoma, that where we all are BIPOC folks, kind of dominate. We're going to make a change. So when we come back next year, they know us now. We met with over 90 something legislators, and they know how we get down and how we're coming, and we're coming even larger next year for equality.
Well, that says a lot in terms of community power and collective voice. And I think it's so important when we, even just hearing the factors there talk about this, the twins, I mean, from their generation, they really felt the effects of the war on drugs, and from generations before them. And the idea is that what a lot of these bills are aiming to do is correct those past wrongs. Like at the end of the day, I mean, we still have people right now, and I know there's some things happening at the city level right now for certain equity in cannabis and equity for workers in the cannabis industry. There's a lot kind of going on. Teresa Mosqueda's office kind of heading that up at the city level. But I love hearing all these things that are happening at the state level, because, we didn't get any licenses, but now we have $400 million coming into community reinvestment. Tell us about some of the things that money is going to be going towards.
Well, grants for businesses and small businesses, low interest loans, nonprofits, some of our community nonprofits to be able to further their goals and objectives, education, youth programs, prison reentry programs. So it's kind of a wide range. I'm on a work group, which is the community reinvestment work group, and we're working with the Department of Commerce, to really define on and how that the funds will be given out. But it's going to be a quick turnaround. In July is when, the target date is to start, giving funds out. But our whole deal is do programs. I'm 62 years old. So, I've been around a while. I'm in the 4th quarter. This is for those gentlemen's generation, for your generation, for your kids' generation. We've got to be able to recycle economics into our community. We don't want social programs are fine. And, those are traditional. We want money. We want economics. We want to be able to flip the Native Americans, God bless them, which I'm in support of. But 2020, they generated $1.9 billion in net sales in their community, and then the legislation signed a bill where you can do sports betting in the casinos. That's going to put another $1 billion annually into their pockets net sales. So by next year, it'll be $3 billion a year. And we're looking at, we don't have nothing. We have 400 years of abuse and being raped and murdered and built the country. And out of the 400 years, he's still giving us nothing. That is going to stop.
Yeah. And it really does take, I think, these bold approaches. I mean, as you said, when you made reference to the emails, it's not about this kind of like, oh, well, we're kind of asking. It's really this long, strong communication around demanding, which I think really changes the game a little bit in terms of people understanding the sense of urgency, right? And we talk about equity all the time, but it literally means a sense of agency. So us being able to identify where funds need to be going in our communities. And then it's like, look, you guys got to give us these revenues, and you got to move out of the way so that people in the community can really understand what's necessary, talk to community members, build those relationships, and really inject funding in all of these areas that are necessary. And it's a great thing because we've been talking about circulating the Black dollar right here on Converge for a very long time. And I love seeing these Black market events that pop up because it's like, I don't have an excuse for me to say, I don't know how to, shop at Black businesses. I don't know who these guys are. I get the opportunity to go out as a consumer, learn some of these business owners, get to know them, start to build relationship with them, and literally patron their business. So the idea is of us not knowing what we're going to do or not having an understanding about it, that is really breaking down too, because in community, there is a strong effort to showcase these Black businesses when we talk about circulating Black dollars. So I love how you really bring it back to the economics of it all. It's important that we understand and identify how we're able to wield those economics into our communities. And, shout out to you and everybody who's really made this happen. If people are wanting to know more and follow up as this money comes out, we always say right here, we got to follow the money, right? Because I will say too, that we've seen it be divisive in our communities. And I'm wondering, before I even let you tell people how to find you and how to be connected, I'm wondering how you guys are even thinking about that, because we've seen it be destructive to a certain degree. And we've also seen that, hey, well, I know about these guys, I'm going to give the money to my friends. How are you guys being intentional in terms of accountability when this money hits?
Well, it's going to be, tight governed. But one thing it can't be also is it can't be put in a bracket of a normal RFP type situation. Because, when you do that, it's a bidding process that, the richer get richer. And the ones that never had the opportunity, that were most oppressed, don't have the opportunity. So, the bottom line is that we're making sure things are put in place so that, folks, you got to do certain things to qualify, like have a business plan and, it all makes sense and some type of structure of goal and objectives. But, we're making sure that folks get that chance, to get it. So a lot of the sausage making though now is still being created, and that's what our task force, is doing. I would say for everybody to follow through the Social Equity and Cannabis Task Force, which is the work group, Community Reinvestment Program work group. And it's on their website. And I think we have a meeting next week, and we're going to continue to have meetings, to do it, but to also reach out to our organization. That's info@wsaaca.com. And that's the Washington State African American Cannabis Association who, put you on our list. That so, folks will be able to get updated, as we go along. We're going to keep them updated, but we're tracking it, we're tracking it all the way through. So as we fought forward, we're fighting forward to get to the right place.
There we go, Jim. It's so necessary. And thank you so much for being on here today to just give us a real rundown of all of the efforts throughout this legislative session around cannabis equity. We're still coming for those licenses, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But I love the fact that there is something we can celebrate here with regard to, revenues coming into our community. Thank you for all of your hard work on this. And thank you to everybody out there who's been a part of this effort. Jim, it was great to have you on Feel Good Friday today.
Well, thank you, for having me on, and want to thank everybody for support. And please reach out to join the movement.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. It takes us all.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys heard it right there from Jim. And you guys know that is my moniker on this show right here, is to see yourself as a part of the solution. What Jim highlighted here today is the opportunity for you to get engaged and get involved. And if you've understood this war on drugs and the harm that it caused to particularly Black communities and our Latino communities, you guys, please find a way to get engaged and get involved. Jim is saying the door is open here. If you are one of those people that seems skeptical about, oh man, money's coming into the community, how is it going to go? How is it going to get wielded? Be one of the people that are engaging yourself in the process. There is no reason why you can't do that. We're asking you guys to do that, and we want more people to be engaged in this. I'm just glad Jim was able to spotlight it all. Up next, I get to talk to Naima Clark of Nurturing Roots. Oh my goodness, another amazing community queen and community effort that's happening for our people around farming. Stay tuned after this short break. You're watching Feel Good Friday.
Getting that roof, Chris. Short temper, so you know I'm kinda ruthless. Bad pass, roll one, time to elevate. Yeah, part-time smoker when I medicate. Big step, a couple hoes up in the Dino. Fly 'em out to Vegas, couple just in the casino. Mean rep, I had to earn it, others buy it, money burning. I work harder, I deserve it. You a groupie, you a bird. I'm a
You're good. Welcome back, everybody, to Feel Good Friday. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. And as you can see right there, we have our last episode of Black Love when we met tonight at 8 p.m. We're going to be spotlighting Aaron and Quinn and their love. And so I'm excited and just want to definitely thank you guys again for giving that show so much of your love. But you know what? I get to give her my love right here in the studio. My sis, Naima Clark of Nurturing Roots, is in the building. What's up, Naima?
What's up, sis? So good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad it worked with your schedule. I mean, I know how busy you are. No, really. But it's one of those things because you're so dedicated to the work. Tell folks about Nurturing Roots for those who don't know.
Man, Nurturing Roots, really, for those that don't know, is all about self-sustainability. How do we encourage more of us in our community, Black folks, to get their hands into the soil and heal? I think a lot of what farming brings is the idea that you go into a store, get a vegetable, cows, but we're in the city. When it comes to food sovereignty, we need the food to be here. So for me, Nurturing Roots is education, it's food sovereignty, it's opening up spaces for land development, but really healing ourselves through the environment.
Yeah, and it's so amazing the ways that you tackle this, right? Because it is all of those things. You're opening up the farm to families. You're giving young people the opportunity to kind of engage with their parents, right? You also are doing a lot of things in community where I've been a recipient. You guys had food boxes. You guys were just all kind of things. But one of the things I love so much is your motto. People come to a farm because they're getting produce. They're thinking, well, what do I have to pay? What does this cost me? And tell us about some of your ideology around how to serve the community with what you guys do at Nurturing Roots.
Yes, I think the hardest thing is selling this concept, not even selling it, I guess, but offering this concept of food is free. organic produce. A lot of people think organic, you have to pay for it, you have to go into some space, you have to have this, it's not for us. But for me, it's the health that we need to uplift. So what better way to do that than to remove the barriers? Access is one of our biggest barriers in the community. So why not have a place where you could free forage? If you want something organic, it's free. Just grab it. No matter the age. Yeah, if you are a young person, go ahead and take that leaf. It's not, leave that for someone else. I think even offering the opportunity for folks to get dirty. I think the theories that we just have embedded in us sometimes are false. So realizing, this can help me, not harm me. This is actually free. Then it changes your mindset. Now going into these spaces, you realize, hey, I actually can do this myself. This carrot costs how much? I don't know if you've seen the price of avocados, like everything going up.
Yeah.
So definitely within our climate, being able to grow your own food is empowering. So got to give it to the folks.
Gotta give it to the folks. And it's one of those things that I remember the first time I heard you say that. And I just went, man, this is what I'm talking about. This is true service to community, but it's alongside community as you bring so many people on board to participate in it. Now, Nurturing Roots has some amazing things going on as well. I mean, you guys are almost in the process. Look, one land acquisition, looking at another. Tell us about some of the work that you guys are doing in that regard.
Man, it's phenomenal. To me, it's just a blessing. Really, sometimes I just sit in awe of how much traction we can make together. I think it's been my network, the community that's really uplifted the movement and carried us. Our home site on Beacon and Graham, which is on the Bethany Church campus, we're hoping to acquire that. We recently got some funding through the city EDI department, but being able to just hold on to that history, Black Power Epicenter birthed a lot of activism. We did so much, the Noni Youth Jail campaign, YUIR, just all the folks that have been involved with a lot of the triumphant moments in this movement, were birthed there. So for me, being able to acquire that property, hold it down for all of us, it's unimaginable. I'm from South Seattle too, right over on Orcas. So it's on Graham. It's like, hey, I'm owning a piece, of the community, but figuring out ways that we all can own that. Land ownership should be all of ours. So Nurturing Roots, it's not just ours, it's all of ours. So that's a win. Red Barn Ranch, we're still hoping for that. I know the community support. Thank y'all, all of y'all that petitioned, that reached out, called, stopped by. I think really the community showed out for Red Barn. But for those that don't know, that's almost 40 acres in Auburn, Washington. 40 acres alone, saying that, looking behind me, it's like even being able to acquire 40 acres to me, I pinch myself talking about it right now. So being able to do that, I think I'm standing on the shoulders of so many, thinking about indigenous communities who have been fighting for something like this, being able to pay homage to them. I think all of that we want to be able to do, having a unique beneficial space that, we can birth our children at, we can heal our babies, we can go and heal ourselves, being able to have that place that we call home. It's funny, so many people come to Seattle and it's like, where are the Black people at? It's like, we got this, but it looks diluted, but we need, our spot. So that's definitely a spot. And then King County, fortunately, through a partnership with Stone Soup Gardens, they reached out and said they wanted to allow us to steward a park in Skyway. So that we're going to name Black Panther Park, but showing love to the Black Panther movement in Seattle. Brother Aaron Dixon definitely inspired a lot of my career. So being able to have him say, yes, go ahead, everything. But definitely trying to hold on to these spaces in community and find more ways for folks, to see themselves doing the same work.
I mean, my word, I just get the chills because I love it so much. These are things that just weren't happening when we were growing up. I think we needed a strong community advocacy and voice to say, this is what you should be doing. Because honestly, I think for in my purview, right, and it seemed like when I was growing up that there wasn't enough of that happening. And so they were really, it seemed like, folks were like, hey, can't you guys come up with the ideas, or don't you understand how to do this right? But right now we're saying, no, we need to partner with our cities. We need to partner with our county to usher in these solutions for them because they don't have them inherently of themselves. But it's also, I think, a great testament to community, Black community here. And you touched on that a bit because this is not just about Nurturing Roots. This is really about Black community and paying homage to the decades of advocacy and community organizing that has took place here. One thing that was said earlier this week on Black Love when we met, Tarek said, look, in LA, there's a ton of Black people, but in Seattle, there's Black community. And it really touched my heart because I think sometimes we have to recognize the brilliance of what we have here. And it's spaces like Nurturing Roots. It's us being able to come together, like you were talking about, Black Power Epicenter, starting these amazing campaigns, seeing things through because we're working together. We have enough things in our community that divide us, but I love that Nurturing Roots is one of those spaces that are like, nah, we're not doing none of that. This is about this collectivity. You know what I mean? So really, how can folks stay engaged and help out? I mean, clearly there are still campaigns. I saw almost 10,000 actions for
So
Red Barn
amazing,
Ranch.
right?
Amazing effort. Shout out, like she said, to everybody. Again, you guys are seeing yourself as part of the solution. You're wielding your voices to this. But how can people follow up and stay engaged with some of the other actions you guys have going on?
Yes. So definitely following us on Instagram, nurturing or at Nurturing Roots Farm. If you go online, our website is nurturingrootsfarm.org. Being able to stop by, like there's nothing like, fam just showing up. Hey, poke your head in. We have volunteer days on Sunday, 11 a.m. until 3. We're hoping to do more events, so more movie nights, more farm to table dinners. We want to start a Sunday, once a month dinner. We got to bring everybody together because, like I said, it's the network, it's the community that's lifted us. So I want to be able to pour back into it. What can we do? If there's an event that you want to have it at the farm, you don't mind chickens running around, come on down. But really, it's just to lift us up. So just look us up for sure.
Look us up. I love it. And, before I absolutely let you go, I want people to understand why you do this, Naima, because you have countless hours every day. This is not a 9 to 5 for you. This is so much more beyond that. Just let the people understand one thing about why you do this.
I do this because it's the one thing that I can dedicate my life to and be fine with transitioning. But at the end of the day, it's the only thing that I've been able to feel fulfilled. No matter what, I'm not exhausted from this. If there's adversity, okay, let's do it. It's the one thing I'm fearless. And it's hard to find that in community. Being a Black woman, it's hard to find my liberated space. And so being able to create that and then seeing the liberation of others, my friends and family, quitting their slave ship and deciding to do their own enterprise, I think it's all of that. It's something that I can commit myself to and be okay with,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. This is exactly why I love Feel Good Fridays. I love Converge Media. We have to be uplifting folks like yourselves, like Jim, like Tita, everybody that says, I'm betting on myself. I know I can do something. And this is how I'm making my mark on the world. Sis, I'm so honored to be in community
Likewise.
with you. You're phenomenal.
I'm sorry, are phenomenal. For y'all, I had to take a second. I'm sorry. I know it's your time and you're going to reclaim it. However, this sister, you deserve flowers. You bringing us to this space. You being that person where always your name is across those email CCs. You are there. You are present. I see you. Like I always get a chance whenever I can. I just want you to know that I honor you. I appreciate you. I love you.
I love you.
Yes, right on.
And I receive it. I
Right
will,
on.
right?
Okay.
Like I will receive
Yes,
that.
thank
We have
you.
to be good at receiving
Yes,
too,
right? Come
right?
on.
Well, thank you so much, love.
Yes.
This is a great thing. I'm so glad we made it work with your schedule. Thank you again
Sure, thank
for
you.
being here and sharing that with our audience. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, it's love all around up in here. And of course, we got some updates. We do have Weird at Night coming on tomorrow at 10 p.m. They were on a hiatus last week, but they will be here. We have the overlay. Salman is. No, okay, you don't have it. Okay, that's all right. We do have them coming up tomorrow at 10 p.m. And then on Sunday at 8 p.m., we have Truly Unruly with the True Fonts. And again, you guys, tonight at 8 p.m., you guys can catch our last episode of this pilot week right here on Converge Media, Black Love, When We Met with Aaron and Quinn. So excited to dive in with them later on tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting us here at Converge and being right here with us on this Feel Good Friday. Again, see yourself as a part of the solution. Get involved, get engaged, use your voice, write some emails, send some messages to people in community. Be one of those people that just doesn't live your life just for you. The more of us that are doing that, the better our society always is. And I love you all so much for watching us. As always, as Omari would say, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. Until Monday for our Monday, our morning update show until Monday at 11 a.m. Peace.